Welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm your host, Hamza Idris. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our various platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and watch us live on YouTube. Yes, we have virtually the presidential candidate of Social Democratic Party, Barrister Adewale Adebayo, discussing some of the issues around governance, President Muhammadu Buhari, as we inch towards the end of 2022. Yes, Barrister, in his message, Father Kuka from Sokoto said the president is actually leaving Nigerians more vulnerable than he met them in 2015. Are you on the same page with the Bishop of Sokoto?
Well, the Bishop is correct in the sense that that's the case. Facts must be respected. Truth must be respected.
Okay.
But it's not only true of President Buhari. Even the previous governments did the same thing. It's a narrative that the problems that we have tend to not go away. And maybe one or two areas, the government of today will focus on it. But it can be said that since 1999, every of the government has left us worse than they met us.
Okay, so it's not really a new thing, if I get you right. That after each administration, the one that comes in tends to be worse off, right?
Yeah. If you go back to when you were born yourself, check the newspaper of the day you were born. The problems reported in New Nigeria, in Daily Sketch, in Daily Comment, in Tribune, whatever Daily Times, whatever paper that you pick up the day you were born, you will see that those problems are still alive now.
Yeah, fuel scarcity, armed robbery, banditry, and all that.
They are still there. So that lets you know. Second, look at the beginning of every administration. The high hopes, in the end, they live up with problems. So it is not different in the case of President Buhari, but is the most recent in this cascade of disasters that has happened. So people will mention it. So what Nigerians need to do now is to draw it back and say, after this, no more. It will not happen again. The last epidemic of appreciable progress was Bangladesh led us from Lagos to Abuja. So we didn't have any brand new capital, but at the end of Bangladesh regime, we had a brand new. We had terminal, have a number of things. We have dualized road out of Abuja to Kano, but even that administration worsened our democratic situation than he met. So we learn to pick up from where the other person has faltered, and you carry. So in the case of President Buhari, when he came, we had no second Nigeria at all. Now we have. So that's an achievement. We were having strength.
And I think even Father Kuka also acknowledged infrastructural growth under President Buhari.
Yeah, yes, as much as the amount spent, not as much as missed, not as much as have been done. But these are things that government has done transparently, see that been done. There's still a lot to be done. So overall, you cannot say hallelujah, alhamdulillah at the end. Because we have problems that are worse now than they were at the beginning. We thought that he will fight corruption. He has actually emboldened corruption, domesticated corruption in the presidency. We thought that he would discipline their forces, confuse them even more. So, but these are things we need to learn. He's going now. He has served his country. He's been serving his country since he was young. So, been brought back to serve, now 8 years old. We should be allowed to be in peace. We should now learn from and say that the next 4 years, we want to make some indelible mark in governance. We want to retire some old problems. We want to, for example, there will be people, no people in Nigeria again who will be begging for food. I'm home now for Christmas, and one of the proudest people you can find in the world are Odo people. They don't like to beg. They like to, they are seen as people who are full of themselves. They don't have time to go beg now. But you see that they understand, and that they seriously understand. You will see that their dignity and pride there are some cracks in it. You will see them whispering to you they have this problem with you. So I use that barometer of what is going on. And I was in Kano 7 days ago. I was in Auchi, those State, 3 days ago. I was in Niger State 4 days ago. So I've been going around the country. I was in Lagos 3 days ago. And I see that everywhere I go, people are under stress. So we need to present to them. The way people were traveling when I was for Christmas, see the same way they're traveling now, all packed together, struggling, fuel scarcity, struggling, stress all over the place. So we need to mark out certain things. Poverty in terms of food, in terms of poor housing, in terms of access to medical care, in terms of education, in terms of employment, in terms of general infrastructure. We need to remove those barriers for our people.
Okay, I'm
Next,
compelled to actually interject here with an observation and then a question. You see, you made mention that it has been consistent since time immemorial that when a leader leaves, the one that comes after him fares worse. You know, they do more bad than expected. So the question now, why are some of you still aspiring? Yes, I mean, then why are some of you aspiring? Do you think you will fare better if you win under Social Democratic Party? And how are you going to fare better? What will you do differently, for instance, in terms of security, economy, and education? Let's just take these three so that you shed more light. What you will do differently so that we will not have ASU strike. What you will do differently so that we will not have banditry in Northwest, we will not have Boko Haram in Northeast, we will not have, you know, attacks on oil installation in South and all that.
First, what we need to do is already what we're doing now. You need to bring new politics, because the old politics, where the people who cause the problems only change the president, they don't change themselves.
Okay.
So you will see that the same people who were with Obasanjo in 1999 and 2003 are the same people who were with Yaradua, they're the same people who were with Jonathan, and the same people now are with Buhari. If I mention their names, you know them. If I don't mention their names, you know them.
Yeah.
The top confidants of Jonathan.
But from where are you going to bring new sets of people? From the moon, Your Excellency?
The new set of people, you are already seeing them in my campaign. There are lots of Nigerians who mean well for the country, and they are all available, but they don't have 10 billion to give you to campaign. They don't have talks to supply. They don't have lions to give you to go on social media to lie on your behalf. But they have programs and ideas, and that's where we start from. Bring new people. You cannot say, for example, for Social Democratic Party, that I, the presidential candidate, you have ever found me with these people before. My vice president, Yusuf Buhari, Salisu, you have never found him with any of these people before. Then you go down the line, people like Aditya Okuno, so many other young people we brought to the party. So you cannot say you found them before. You cannot say Sheikh Musakuba, who's the chairman of my party, was in their government before. So you are clear about that. Then, if you look at the way we are financing our campaign, have you seen any sign extravagance that we are collecting money from people who are stealing crude oil, that we are collecting money from people who are collecting fraudulent subsidy money, failed contractors, people who are owing trillions to AMCON, who have bankrupted commercial banks with depositors' funds? Do you see any of them? Do you see those people who are cases pending in the FCC Do you see them carrying out a campaign? So you already see the changes. So this is how you start. So that when you elect a new president, you actually have a new presidency. And you have new ideas. Then you have new methodology. That's how you do it. Now, on the issue, ASU not go strike on time because that's an absurd in that. One, universities were run for many years. Balema didn't have this. Gawan didn't have this. Why do we have the problem now? It's because in the past, every complaint of the university staff, academic, non-academic, will end governing council. And the governing council of universities were so well funded, so respectable, that they didn't need the advice of the president or prime minister or anybody. The governing council of universities were solid, and that is what we stop. So, and we're going to champion the university in such a way that, apart from the statutory allocation we give them, we are able to help them raise funds and other things that they require. So we treat the university for what it is. The reason why ASU is on strike is the same reason policemen want to go on strike by the government. Poor pay, underfunding, sabotage by the government, putting
So are you
wrong
saying you
people
will
on their
increase
head.
you will increase funding for universities? Where will you get the money? You will increase salaries of university staff and non-academic staff. Where will you get the money?
I will tell you where I get the money. Three sources. One, I get the money from taxation that's not being paid now. If you look at the people in general revenue, they are more on the side of the tax dodger than they are on the side of the people. Second, you will see that the oil that is missing billions of dollars alone quarterly out of Nigeria. Just 10% of that is enough fixed education for Nigeria for the past for the next 60. The third is, I just told you now, between President Buhari and Governor of Central Bank, Mayfield, they have thrown away $144 billion in trying to keep this.
How did you arrive at the figures, sir?
Figures, I will show them to you. The figures arise from the calculation of how much they used to fund the exchange rate. That is the CBN record, $144 billion. This year's budget is south $40 billion. So they've thrown away good money in shades to appease their clients and to waste our resources. So if you put all of this money together, you will be able to fund not only education, but infrastructure. So the leakage is what we need to deal with. There's no shortage of money in Nigeria. There's shortage of justice.
Please come again, Barrister. You said there is no shortage of money in Nigeria.
There is a shortage. Let me repeat.
Okay.
There is no shortage of money in Nigeria. The money in Nigeria is enough for the entire 16 countries, West Africa, to lift themselves up to the modern world. What the latest that happened in Ghana? Ghana spent mere $94 million to have 5-level, 24-angle interchange in Accra that eliminated all the traffic you find in Accra. $94 million. That's what a governor in Nigeria will use to fight the primaries political party, just to do fight for primaries. So I'm just letting you know that money is not the problem. If money was the problem, are you not going on the street and see all the glossy billboards that my competitors are to put all over the country? If you calculate the cost of those things, it was billions. Do you know how much budgeted for INEC election this? Do you know how much other political parties are spending? So there's money in Nigeria. Are you not seeing that many of the governors are richer than the state that they govern? So which minister, president, governor have you seen recently who is living on their salary?
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we still have in the studio Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani, presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, and he also doubles as chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council. Once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, before we went on break, you're actually hammering on the excessive powers around the governors and how you intend to checkmate it.
Yeah.
One of the candidates who you are actually vying the same office with. He keeps showing the examples in Lagos. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Obasanjo stopped his allocation because he created development areas, right? Among many other issues, but partly, he said there are a certain total number of local governments in the state. Why creating? But it is now a template across Nigeria. I don't know whether they are faring well, most of these development areas, not to talk of the local government areas. And it is generally believed that unless we get it right at the grassroots, Nigeria will never progress. What will you do to redeem the image of local government areas?
Well, I also would like to commend President Muhammadu Buhari for one of the executive orders which he gave, but was, I think, opposed.
Yeah, by the governor, you can see how they exude.
Yes, but because they have a president like Muhammadu Buhari, otherwise another president will call their bluff.
If it were you, what will you do?
I will call their bluff.
How?
I have so many powers that I can use, to also, get back at them.
So it's a sign of failure on the side of the president.
Exactly.
His inability to actually
to fight.
Ensure the executive order.
Exactly. Works. That is the tragedy of the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing was well thought out. It's not that the president wants the money to come to the center. All that he wanted to do was to ensure that the money gets to where it must get to. The system is not so irresponsibly designed. It was designed, the independence given to them is not for them to steal. We can go to, even if you like, let's go to International Court of whatever.
Wow, it's like you're taking it higher there. No, but you have 3 tiers of government.
I have 3 tiers.
With their powers clearly spelled out.
Don't get it wrong.
Okay.
Don't get it wrong. I was elected, God willing, I'll be elected by the people that elected them. So it wasn't, in fact, those who elected me did not elect them. The president is elected by the entire country, isn't it? Mm. So if they say that the same person that voted for you, voted for me too. And he voted for me as your senior in terms of authority. So whatever you are claiming that you have as a hold, to do what you are doing, I have a higher authority by the virtue of the votes that was given to you, because the same person voted for me too. That's why I'm the president. Mm. So I'm not equal with you at all. When the reason why I'm the president is to pretend over the system itself, the entire system, that it works.
I remember Obasanjo had to use legislators, for instance, in Plateau State, to get at Darie, but later that power was also checkmated, that you can't just remove governor by executive fate, even if the state assembly, supported the demand at the center. I mean,
if what you are doing is axiomatic, meaning that it's something that is in the interest of everybody, yes, you will get some frustrations. You get some. They will go and hire lawyers and then come and say sort of. I will hire also, more powerful lawyers to go and argument. We can be filibustering if you like in the court, adjourning while you are suffering as the governor.
But what will happen to the people at the grassroots? Will they remain the proverbial grass?
No, they will not. They will not. You
will find a way of reaching out.
Yeah, of course, certainly. I mean, you have to think out of the box. That's what the system is all about. That's how you grow the system. You don't allow all these things that are not intended.
The encumbrance.
Yes, to suffer. I mean, to affect the entire governance. And as it is happening in Nigeria today. So you talked about Tinubu and his Lagos something. Lagos, you see, the GDP of this country itself, if you look at it, almost 90% of it is by the private sector, that contributes to the GDP of this country. So anybody can be governor of Lagos State and then make it, because it's not really the subvention that you're talking about.
It's because of its position.
It's a position. It's a commercial center. Yeah. It's a commercial center, and even I'm talking about the entire GDP of a country, every country. Almost 90% of it is from the private sector, not the public sector. So if you deny the governor the money, and he's a sensible person, he will get it from the private sector, because in fact there are countries that are run by fees, through fees that people pay, not even taxes.
Wow.
Yeah, there are countries that are run the economy, through fees. So as a government, you have so much, latitude, so much that you can do to really impact on the lives of your people positively, by way of, thinking out of the box, creating wealth.
So you're also part of those people who believe Nigeria is not poor.
Nigeria is not poor by all standards, whatever you want to look at. Look at the population we have, for God's sake. Young, dynamic population that are intelligent, that outside this country are number one or number two. Give them any opposition. Look at what other governments outside Nigeria are doing. Biden, he has Nigerians, in his government, and so also United Kingdom. So the issue now is the leadership. That is the problem we have in this country. Because when you look at it, is it agriculture? Why did the colonial masters? Why did they come to this country? For agriculture.
For resources, yeah.
Resources, even then. Then now, look at God has added others, that is oil and gas, solid minerals, and a huge population that we didn't have before. So if you have a president that has it up here, like I do, believe you me, we turn things around within the shortest possible time. Before 100 days, Nigeria will be amazed that
in 100 days.
Within 100 days, you can do that because...
Engineer, are you on the same page with Najatu, who claim that the money looted by government employees, if recovered, will be enough to share 732,000, nearly a million?
Nobody has denied the 70 trillion naira that somebody said that it's covered hidden in the banks. CBN was mentioned, First Bank was mentioned, Zenith Bank was mentioned, other banks were mentioned. None of them has come out to deny.
You're talking about Gudaji Kazawari.
Gudaji Kazawari. And he's supposed to
agree with what he said?
He's a member of the House of Representatives.
But it disowned him, the House.
Who?
The House, the members, they disowned him during one of their
sessions. Let them prove it. Let them prove it. Let them prove it. You know the system under which we are operating? Of course, they will disown him if most of them are part of the loot that you're talking about. Why wouldn't they disown him? But the fact of the matter is that nobody has denied that there's 70 trillion naira. Let them come out.
Duty, yeah,
stamp duty. And where is the account? Who is holding the account of that 70 trillion naira? And not only that, even what banks are doing and the CBN is doing, believe you me, that is what has got this country to where we are today.
Even the presidency disowned him. Garba Shehu issued a statement that Buhari did not commission that. Assuming you are President Buhari, what will you do differently? Well,
the issue is this. Why do you set up the system of whistleblowers? Why do you do that? And if it's true that what he said is not true.
And he showcased many papers.
Exactly. He doesn't enjoy any immunity. He's not a governor. Let them arrest him. Let them take him before the court. You are
referring to Gudaji.
Yes. Let them arrest him. And then you hear more. And that's what they're afraid of. Issue a statement is not enough.
Wow.
It's not enough. Because look at what happened to the Accountant General Federation, who stole how much? Almost close to 200 billion naira.
Yeah.
Okay, why did they stop the investigation? Why did they set up a commission of inquiry, judicial commission of inquiry to probe more?
Yeah.
When the guy starts singing, they stopped him. And then they said, let them give him bail. This is the system under which we are coming to change.
What will you do differently if you win under AD?
Oh, look, you see, countries like Singapore and what have you, they don't have it, it's not magic. That magic wand or anything like that.
That they are getting it right.
No. It's punishing somebody who has run foul of the law. Every other person will sit up.
Do you have the magic wand to confront the system? Because
we do. My magic wand is governance by the rule of law. That's our mantra as ADP and as presidential candidate. Governance by the rule of law.
During most of your campaigns, you describe Atiku, Tinubu, Obi, and even Konkoso, among others, as provincial presidential candidates, meaning they are actually riding on the horse of regionalism and all that. Where do you stand?
Well, where I stand, look at what is happening today. These guys have emerged as a result of the fault lines that we have, which Nigeria wants to quickly forget about because it is the reason why we are where we are today. Those fault lines. The fault lines are religion, ethnicity, and regionalism.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the 3 or 4 candidates we are talking about, who the press, you press have been trying to load,
Not we actually.
push
It is
through down the
we
throat of
only
Nigeria.
report what Nigeria says.
No. I'm talking about what Chinese. I mean, Chinese television, AIT.
Anyway,
you see, Arise, or every time they want to talk about candidates, they say they bring the 4 out as if it's only the 4 that are running.
From
I mean,
18,
even NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, should have sanctioned them because there's a law that says you have to give visibility to every candidate equally at the same time.
The way we are doing here.
The way you are doing here, but the rest are not doing it. So they in fact are the problems of this country. Those private television houses.
Yeah, but I think maybe they are not doing what we are doing, believing that you don't have what it takes to actually get to the villa.
Who says?
I don't know.
How do they know? How do they know how to get to the villa?
Even today, there was sampling. They have been doing polls. The one they did today showed Atiku will win. I saw another one 3 days ago. They said Obi will win. I didn't see Yaba Gisani.
Wait, don't rush yet. Wait.
Okay.
You will see wonders. Wonders that Nigerians will be pleased about. That they will say, thank God. We now have a relief, because there's a way out of all this quagmire that we are in. And like I was saying, you look at Obi is representing the Igbo sentiment. There's no other way to look at it. You look at Atiku is operating on the northern sentiment. There's no other way to look at it. And he even said it himself. Don't vote for other candidates because I'm a northerner. I don't know how northerners become the criteria.
Persons here, they said his statement was misconstrued.
Well, that's political jargon. The other way is that you go to Tinubu say, Emilio Khan, that I'm the Yoruba man, is son of the Yorubas. So how do we grow a country?
But what are you telling Nigerians?
I am from the North Central.
Do you write on that to say that North Central, they have never produced a president
that's the fact of the matter, but that's not why I'm even running.
Okay.
Why I'm running is that I know that I have the knowledge of how this economy is supposed to be run so that it will grow at its rate that God has given to it. Faster rate than what we are growing now. I have the knowledge of how the oil and gas sector works. Whether you like it or not today, this economy is about oil and gas sector. You need oil and gas sector to grow.
What extra mileage do you have against other candidates, especially in terms of fine-tuning how we are handling our oil and gas sector?
Oh, so many. I have submitted.
Will you also sell off the refineries? Because Tinubu said he will sell it.
No. Governance is not about the easy way out of the problems. No, governance is to be able to think out of the box. Why haven't you investigated the state of those refineries first?
They have been investigated. There are tons of.
I have done.
Someone, in fact, Obasanjo sold them out. Adua brought them back.
No.
Now Atiku is saying he will sell them.
No.
Tinubu has joined the foray saying that he will also sell them.
No. You see, you have to look at the state of the economy and the nation itself, the country you are dealing with, in the sense that what are the fundamentals of this economy? That's what you have to ask yourself first. You don't other countries, even America, is looking at how they can, build big, gigantic corporations, as a government, and get, private sector to key in.
If I understand, meaning you will not dispose of the refineries.
That is the easiest way out of the problem, and the easiest way is not the best way.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that even removal of subsidy, that somebody say, "Oh, I will remove everything." No, you don't do that. What you do.
Yes,
is,
I actually have a question on that because I know that even the most advanced democracies, they subsidize certain things.
Exactly.
So how are you going to handle ours?
I did
going
it
by the provision of the PIA, which actually precludes subsidy.
PIA, as far as I'm concerned, is a swindle against these people of this country. And I'll tell you, allow me. I'm telling you. And they know it. Those who sponsor that PIA, they know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They know that's a swindle. It's a fraud. Let me even use the word.
The whole PIA, the whole document.
Because it's a fraud. I'm telling you, and I can support it.
Please elucidate. Let me understand.
Okay, let me elucidate. The PIA is objective. Number one objective. The very first objective of introducing, since the time it was called OGIS, is supposed to be a way that you have transparency, accountability, and good governance, isn't it? When you are talking about transparency, accountability, and good governance, that means separation of power. That means division of labor. You have one agency of government checking the activities of the other one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's checks and balances. They must be there. Otherwise, you can't have accountability, transparency, and good governance.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and do well to follow our conversation across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. I have in the studios Barrister Kagbo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and Barrister Mainasara Omar. Thank you for being part of the program. Yes, I was saying before we went on break that the Electoral Act, you know, the amended Electoral Act, said all pre-election matters should be decided, as well as all elections, problems arising from elections should be decided before inauguration, right?
Yes.
Is it possible with now the over 1,800 cases that we have, and we're also going to have as many as possible, maybe from February?
Those provisions are actually constitutional provisions, you know, from Section 285 of the Constitution. You know, the federal, the Electoral Act can only re-echo.
Okay.
You know, it can't make law, and just like INEC cannot tell you, prescribe the jail term for anybody who does anything, they cannot. The laws are already there. I think they are just re-echoing them. But to me, the worry I have is the Supreme Court should help itself and help the lower cadre courts by narrowing the cases that they would attend to.
Okay.
The Constitution has already defined what constitutes a pre-election matter. If you ask me, I give it a strict interpretation.
Okay.
No reason for exceptions. Because the moment you open any door for any liberal interpretation, you get this floodgate. Before now, I thought we would have been developing and solidifying the jurisprudence that the only pre-election matters are those ones that are a fallout of primary elections. Every other thing that the political parties do to themselves, let them kill themselves. They have better things to do. You understand? I would have, but we're getting some feelers where the line is
very thin.
It's getting thinner and thinner, and there are windows that the politicians are now throwing themselves through into the fray to allow for this barrage of cases. I would have said, but let me talk about what he is saying. The structure of our court system, I think, would need to be expanded. Let's borrow from where we borrowed our own democratic system and presidential system from. I did a study through the auspices of the State Department of the U.S., of the legal system of the USA, and I benefited a lot. And since then, my mind has been saying that why can't we do what they are doing? For an example, there is no reason why we shouldn't be having the state high courts and the state appellate system. You understand? People are saying the governors would appropriate everything and make nonsense of everything. If the people are docile, let them be fried with their own oil. You understand? But let's try and
it's more or less like
federate,
decentralization.
Let's federate the legal system. Let's, you see, yes, also you have the problem, because like in the US, the only matters that are of concern to the federal system are matters within the Federalist, about 9 or so. So every matter outside that, no, is for the states. But here, the problem we have how many matters under the exclusive list? So many of them. So every area of your, that is why we are having this. And you see, the US system has, for the federal courts, they have this circuit system, which is like regional high court, courts of appeal. They attend to this region. And theirs is only about this region. And whatever matter that passes through them that is not heard within the year at the Supreme Court, it's a bit. The Supreme Court does not take matters over. No. They don't have matters that you say is spillover of last year.
Okay.
Every matter that is heard is filed this year. If it is not heard, it's a bit. The decision of the Court of Appeal endures.
Yeah.
You understand? But the matters that the Supreme Court here, these are purely policy setting matters. If they had made a decision over an issue, they can never reopen it. The only time they would have is when you have society being so elastic to the point that they now have to what? Come and reconsider this decision. For example, the decision as to who is a woman within the context of America. Those ones would have to also be decided by the Supreme Court because what? Society has diluted the components of a woman. You understand? Fine. But beyond that, they know what you, even as a litigant, you know what to take to the Supreme Court. But here, if you look at me in a way and I said you are insulting me, I will go to court, that matter, before it dies, the Supreme Court must say a word about it.
Which ordinarily shouldn't be so.
That is the
thing. But Mr. Menesara, here we only have one Supreme Court. Of course, we have one Court of Appeal, but it has, divisions, and it helps in reducing some of the problems we have at the center. Will you subscribe the Supreme Court having similar divisions as we do for the appeal court?
Well, first of all, the lucky side of it is that most of our political matters terminates at the Court of Appeal level. That is first of all. But going from the broader perspective of the judicature in Nigeria, I think it's high time we call for unbundling of the Supreme Court. Because when you go to the Supreme Court, the learned silk is aware, I think there are only 3 courtrooms in the Supreme Court. And these courtrooms, one is for ceremonies, when they will be robbed. They will be robbed.
But even if you talk about the people, the Supreme Court judges,
11 of them.
The judges are inadequate as far as the constitutional demand. So when you look at it in such this thing, I am advocating for either of 2 things. Either you make judicial divisions for the Supreme Court. Supreme Courts maybe 6 to 10, 12 divisions of the Supreme Court, or you professionalize Supreme Court. In other words, you should be able to have, like, say, like the 24 common law subjects, you should have Supreme Court of Constitutional Matters, Supreme Court of Criminal Matters, Supreme Court of Land Law, Supreme Court of Commercial Matters.
Do we have such in other clients?
You understand? Why can't the world copy from us? It is a voodoo for you to always say
that
what
we have
is
to copy from
going
other
on
places.
in America. Why can't America copy from us? So that we will have Supreme Courts under one central administration, the Chief Justice of the Federation and the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court. You understand? And then these are courts of specialization. So whatever matter you have goes to its own.
But even with the single one we have now, it is still not really.
No, what I am saying, it will take care of the congestion, because now, let me tell you.
Do you have the capable hands? That is
listen,
the question.
There are more than enough hands. The Constitution did not say.
Where is the missing link?
Listen, the Constitution did not say there are Supreme Court judges appointed from the bar. There are Supreme Court judges we have in history appointed from the academic. You understand? The law did not say that it must be in queue of seniority from the Court of Appeal to Supreme Court, which is the dogmatic traditional way we are going. You understand? So if we go about it, we have more than adequate hands in the country. By the time you now do, for example, now, if you file any appeal at the Supreme Court, except if it falls under fundamental rights or the government is having interest or something, you hardly get it listed within 20 years.
But did you share the same sentiment with him?
Considering the traffic
actually
of
having this
cases, the
specialized
traffic of cases
Supreme
in
Court.
the Supreme Court,
Will you agree with him, or
yes.
you have a contrary?
You know, I would, no, I don't want to second guess him. You know what I would do?
Okay.
I will go to the beginning.
Because you know that
I am talking
at the same
about,
compartment with it.
I am talking about my own experience, right?
Yes.
So I'm just reliving it. There is no intellectual analysis here.
Okay.
In most states in the U.S., you have courts, specialized courts, and that is at the trial level.
You see?
You have specialized courts for almost everything.
Wow.
Almost everything, and it's structured.
So the traffic is really less.
No, you know, if you are going to this court, you know the matter you are going for.
Exactly.
It's not. They are not generalist courts like we have here. Here, the High Court hears everything, you know. But in itself, it has its drawback.
Okay.
You know,
That's specialized.
Yeah, because you don't create room for specialization, and the thing becomes very tedious. You are always hearing. It's like an ear that hears discordant voices every day. You are coming to court today, you hear a criminal matter, you have a fundamental rights matter, you have a contract matter, you have and for each time, you have a time limit within which to make your rulings and your own judgment. So you don't have no judge.
Okay.
You must be exceptional. That would say, let me get back and do a sort of expansive reading on any subject. And that is why you see when people blame them for perhaps what they say quality of judgment, I say that's unfair. You know, even you as a lawyer, if you have to write 5 briefs in a week, you know what that one would tell on your health. Either address or brief, but no matter what, if you are to sit, because within that time, you are away from your family, you are away from yourself, not talk of the society.
Very sad. I have a follow-up question to this.
Yeah, so this also comes to the issue of federating the judiciary.
Okay.
If you have the court system within the state that goes to the Supreme Court, every state should have its own Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. They go to this one so that it's only federal matter. But even as at that, we also have to unbundle the items that have been donated to the federal government. Because if you look at the Constitution as it is now, it would be foolhardy to talk about state high courts, Court of Appeal, because the items in the constitutions, when I say items, those things within the powers of the state are narrow and sometimes inconsequential, because almost the entire things that make your life or that are important to your life have already been donated to the and that is why even for my own profession it's regulated by federal authorities, not the state where I do my practice. You understand? So it's that bad. So if you ask me, if we're able to first and foremost look at the issue of restructuring. As I think it should be. As I think it should be. Let's take away some of these materials, these items from the federal government and give it to the state. And let us also encourage the state to make their own money. And let us also encourage the state to develop in their own likeness and image. Then we can have these things we are talking about. But for now, there is rhetoric. But yes, in terms of next door here, Cotonou, up to Mali, they have their own constitutional courts. So those courts deal with political matters. So they don't interfere with the ordinary matters. And we have enough manpower.
Okay, enough manpower. Let me drop it. Many of these people who are retiring at 65, at 70, they are still very useful. Okay, they could be
Why don't you make those courts and make them courts that are populated or empowered by these people who are retiring?
Welcome back now to the conversation. I will start with the general. At the beginning of the January, February, March, whole of the first quarter, the impression generally was that maybe Nigeria will not be here by now. So what is your take now that Nigeria is still here?
Well,
I make a reference to the insecurity, you know.
Well, thank you very much for having me in the program. And by the way, let me seize this opportunity to congratulate you for getting the highly coveted Delegiwa Editor of the Year Award. Congratulations
I'm
to
honored,
you.
General. Thank you very much.
And
well, for all of us in media trust.
It's all right.
Yes, thank you.
We are really proud of you. Well done, and keep on doing the good work. You asked a very, very, very important question, and with that we can be able to measure, you know, the extent to which we are progressing when it comes to the issue of dealing with security problem in this country. At the early part of the year, the security situation was very, very precarious and most unpredictable. But through the time and typical of Nigeria, we have witnessed some tremendous improvement in the security aspect, even though some people would like to context that. But the truth is that the security forces are doing a marvelous job. Hence, what we have been witnessing, especially in the recent past, and the onslaught on the terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers is ongoing, despite you know, some hiccups here and there. But the truth is that I know there are a lot of factors that brought this into play, to the extent that if you look at it earlier on, there are certain missing components. You know, talking about holistic approach or holistic approach, and of course
to the operations.
Yes, improvement in synergy and coordination, as well as injection of new hands and equipment, and of course continuous monitoring and giving strategic directives, unlike what was in the past. So there is more coordination, more mutual support among the security forces. Hence, we have witnessed. But most importantly, the issue of renewed interest on the part of the Nigerian society on the security challenges.
You're talking about the citizens now?
Yes, the citizens. But of course, people would like to say even the elites, first and foremost, they realize that the fire will consume them, because in most instances in the past, we are more or less working at cross purposes, unlike a situation whereby security is everybody's responsibility, even though they say the primary responsibility of the government is the security of lives and properties. But of course, the government rely on people also to assist it in dealing with some of these things. So this whole society approach, the improvement on the whole society approach, to a large extent contributed. You know, people are now taking ownership, not necessarily about coming up with alternative. Take for instance, vigilante and what have you. No, but there is sense of interest and more security education. And more commitment, and that to a large extent complemented the efforts of the security forces, hence what we are witnessing. And I believe there is gradual improvement, and it will continue, because everybody knows what is at stake in the early part of next year, and you have to create a far more better conducive atmosphere for us to have a credible and free and fair elections.
Okay, maybe I should take the views of Dr. Adamu. At Beacon Consult, you tick the box almost every morning. Now, what is your impression? Because the question I asked General was that many thought Nigeria would disappear or it will melt because of the high tension, insecurity almost everywhere. And you've been monitoring that. So what is your take that Nigeria is still here? Because this is the last month, most likely the last week or so, we are approaching, the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt security or insecurity will continue to remain a topic of national discourse and would continue to generate the attention of our international partners. And the Fourth Estate, which you represent, have also responded in like manner by making it a daily topic. I doubt if there's any day that you would pick the papers that you would not see either as front page or as a reflection of the contents, security or insecurity as the case may be. But what have we seen? In terms of numbers, fatalities that is, if we compare 2021 to 2022, we've actually seen an increase. 2021, depending on what database you go with, there were about 9,000 people that died. Now this year, 2021,
9,000.
9,000. This year, we're already at 10,000.
An increase of 1,000.
Exactly, and so we're likely to see that, right through the end of the year. I don't think it would reach 11,000. Something phenomenal will have to happen for it to reach 11,000. So clearly, in my honest opinion, given the fact that it is a pre-election year, when all the circumstances that breed insecurity are usually exacerbated, most of us expected that this number will skyrocket. So the fact that we've seen this increase, which is minimal, I think it's actually positive. However, what is even more positive is if you digest the numbers, analyze them, you realize that a majority of this 10,000 were actually as a result of security forces operation that General alluded to earlier on. So it wasn't like it was in 2011, when almost probably 70 to 80% was as a result of the actions of these non-state armed groups. In this instance, it is actually the security forces that are going after the non-state actors and that have led to an increase in the number. So as an example, if you pick the month of July, when we saw a decrease, and then the unfortunate incident that happened in Kuje, and then immediately after that, we saw an increase in the security operations with the old ones being
There
revamped.
was even a marching order, I think.
Exactly, from the president.
Directly that time, not through press statements.
Exactly.
Yes.
In fact, what was unprecedented was that 3 national security councils held in that month.
3?
As far as I study national security.
Yes, that's why I say you tick the box almost every morning.
I'm not aware that in the Fourth Republic, or even before then, there has been any time when 3 of such meetings were held in 1 month. Historians will correct me about that, but as far as I know, based on my studies, I'm not aware. So it was phenomenal. That affected security sector governance positively. It gingered up, which was the point General was making, it gingered up the security departments. They now saw not just the verbal directive, but they also felt the body language of Mr. President. Every time that meeting is held, they are made to give account for their stewardship and what they are going to do. So if you come, for instance, in week 1 and say you are going to do, by the time you come for week 2, you must say what you've been able to achieve. And that created ripple effects. So as an example, at least in recent times, we saw a GOC of Div 1 going live into the forest, leading his troops to go
when our
after.
reporters told us of that, I asked, the reporter from Kaduna, I said, is it maybe media stunt, to impress? They said, no, it's not just overnight or once, but it was a pattern of sorts.
So security sector governance as a single factor, I think is one thing that has been remarkable. And we just like I've explained, we've seen how it has affected not just at the strategic level or at the policy level, also at the operational level, because it is the kind of pressure that he got from the leadership that made him to do that. And of course, we saw the result. So as an example, Operation Forest Sanity was introduced, which is remarkable because Operation Forest Sanity is all about going into the forest and rooting out the bad guys, unlike most of the other operations that were periodic, as the case may be. This time around, the mandate of that operation is to go after the bad guys in their operational areas. And all of this is as a result of this, security sector governance changes that I've mentioned.
Yes. General, there is this cliche that got missing from July, August, September. We repel. What we started hearing was that there was an operation, there was raid, and all that. How did that happen? I know you are out of the system, but a general is always a general. Your taps are on what is happening. Is it that, of course, you mentioned that there was new approach, synergy, and all that, but beyond that, what really happened? Is it that they got new equipment, or the service chiefs and the generals manning some of the divisions saw the real red eye of the president?
Well, it's a combination of so many factors. First and foremost, the Nigerian military is one of the best in the world.
Going by our operations.
And in fact, given the circumstances they found themselves, they have been performing creditably well. But there were missing links before. But now the links are gradually being filled up. And, the strategic directive, injection of equipment, and the fact that you ginger the resilience that is latent in the average Nigerian officer or Nigerian soldier of the military. It is not just, possibly the media has not done justice to some of the commanders actually.
Okay.
But I know that even Hadarin Daji, in most instances, the force commander or the general officer commanding a division also leads in the front. The same thing with the theater commander as well as the various sector commanders. It goes on, and I know even in 82 Division and so on, in fact 81 Division too, there were instances,
But what was the missing link?
Not just the various platoon commanders, or the company commanders, or the battalion commanders, or the brigade commanders. Even the general officers commanding are also doing that. But it is not just that.
Okay.
Even the Air Force, you've seen where the Chief of Air Staff also went down the ladder and all the rest of course. And that is why you have not been hearing so much noise in our maritime environment, because of the resilience of the Chief of Naval Staff. It trickled down. Okay. Now, these various commanders, right from the Chief of Defense Staff down to the service chiefs, they have given their respective, subordinates all that it's required. And you have no excuse whatsoever for you not to perform. But beyond that, and just like Dr. Ademo has just said, is issue of you have been tasked, you must accomplish that task. But beyond that, again, you must make projection after the accomplishment of that task, so that you will also be judged on the basis of that. So these are the kind of things. That is one. The issue number two, like I told you, this whole society approach, it is beyond just the armed forces or the government. Some components of the Nigerian society that were not involved in dealing with the security issues are now being involved. And that is why you have been having these stakeholders, consultations and what have you.
And what comes to mind when you say this is the committee that brought the last batch.
Exactly. So you see, if you look at the committee, the action committee, the composition is more or less like retired military officers and intellectuals who, under normal circumstances, they don't even have any relationship with the government. So now their involvement was able to solve a problem that we had been grappling with for 6 months. So then I told you about the equipment. There was an injection of equipment among the armed forces, particularly the Air Force. So the air support is marvelous.